Welcome! A new cycle sunspot region rotated over the southeast limb earlier this week, and it is showing some signs of growing as it rotates onto the disk of the Sun. So I thought it might be worth taking a deeper look at this relatively modest region to see what factors we have to look for to see whether a region is likely to flare in the future or not. According to the NOAA numbering system, this region is number 2765. Its location is at South 24, East 44 at the moment. You can see it marked on the picture below. And for comparison, I've put a scale there that shows the relative size of the Earth. So this leading sunspot is about the size of the Earth, which means it's an average sort of region. The area is about 130 millionths of the area of the Sun, which again is a sort of an average or typical region, maybe slightly on the small size. And the sunspot type is what's called a beta region, and I'll explain that in a minute. But basically there are several spots with penumbras at the moment, which has been unusual so far in these new cycle regions. So how are sunspot groups classified? The usual standard classification is the Mount Wilson magnetic classification codes. These are 5 different classifications. It starts with the simplest type of sunspot region, an alpha region, which is a unipolar single sunspot region, or all the sunspots in the region with the same polarity. And that's generally what we've had so far for solar cycle 25 regions that have emerged on the Sun to date. This region that we're dealing with today is a beta region, which means that there's 2 sets of sunspots there of opposite polarities, but they're well separated. This is a sort of a simple bipolar region. A beta gamma region, on the other hand, is again a bipolar region, but there's no distinguishing demarcation between the leading and trailing spots, so that it's all sort of mixed up. A gamma is a complex region where the opposite polarities are completely mixed, and that's a very, very good indicator that you're going to get quite a lot of flares out of this region. A delta region is probably the most explosive sort of region, where you have 2 large spots in the same penumbra, which means they've got a lot of opportunity to interact with one another and cause big flares. What you're really looking for when you want a region to produce flares is a beta gamma delta region. That's when you're likely to get your large M flares and X flares. We'll start by taking a look at a movie of the sunspots themselves taken in white light from the Solar Dynamics Observatory HMI instrument. This will show the sunspot region coming over the east limb and developing to the current time. Notice how the spots appear. Some in the trailing part of the region, some in the leading part of the region, and some quite a long distance away. This means that the region is developing and growing, albeit slowly. As you know, sunspots are magnetic fields basically sticking through the surface of the Sun. So seeing how the magnetic field changes as a function of time is vital to understanding what's going on. Here negative polarity is leading, that's the dark color, and white is positive polarity. So what you need to do is to look at how new flows of magnetic field occur within this region, where the new bits of magnetic field appear and how they appear with respect to the opposite polarities, which again is an indication of whether they will flare or not. Another indicator of flaring capability is the rate of change of the X-ray flux. If you see an X-ray signal like this one increasing rapidly, then you have a fairly good chance that you'll get some big flares out of it. Otherwise, if it stays stable or only grows slowly or decays slowly, the chances are low. Now this one has increased its background flux by about a factor of 2 over the last few days. However, it's still relatively modest, being below B level. What we really want to do is to see that up at sea level or higher. So this region has a long way to go before it's going to have a major flaring capability. So what conclusions can we draw from all of this? Well, this is a new cycle region, solar cycle 25, and it's growing slowly, at least at the moment. The X-ray flux is steady or only gradually increasing. It's also a relatively modest sized region, being somewhere between a small and a moderate sized region. The leading spots in the region have penumbra, which means that the magnetic fields are stronger. That means overall I think C flares are just about possible if this slow development continues. M flares are very unlikely unless there's sudden rapid development, and there's been no sign of that as yet. But keep an eye on this region just for grins and see what happens over the next few days. And this template I've given you here is another way of assessing what regions are going to do as they merge onto the disk. So until next time, stay safe and goodbye.